Hello, drafting students. Welcome to drafting. You've had a chance to probably work on Tinkercad a little bit, and that was just something that was added in. One thing that I do have for Tinkercad is at the end you'll be able to create some little toys and stuff, and I actually am in the process of putting a 3D printer in at the school here, so I might be able to actually print some of that stuff out. Anyway, some of you might still be working on that unit, and that's fine. In fact, most of you are. But I thought I would do an update to my drafting 1.1, which is creating SketchUp files and drawing basic elements such as lines, circles, arcs, and polygons. Alright, so we're going to use SketchUp in order to be able to do that. And now there's a couple of things, like SketchUp worked really well 3 years ago. Last couple of years it was kind of touch and go whether or not we could use SketchUp, and that's why we brought Tinkercad in to begin with. And then this year there's a free version of SketchUp that you can actually access online, but it's a little bit different. So I'm going to ask you to use SketchUp. I don't know exactly where you're going to be accessing it, whether you can access the free version that's online, or whether or not you can you'll be able to use the SketchUp version that might be on your computer, or maybe you've even downloaded a professional version of SketchUp. I'm not sure. But we'll try and get through this as best as we can. Okay, so what I've tried to do is create an assignment here in Google Docs that'll be able to walk you through doing the first couple of tutorials or lessons in SketchUp step by step. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is just to, if you're using the old version of SketchUp or a SketchUp version that's on your computer, that's fine. If not, I'm just going to assume that you're going to be taking it or you're going to be using the online version. So you can just go to this sketchup.com. And SketchUp's going to open up, and it's going to be this little red box here, which is the SketchUp icon. It might take a little while to load. Okay, so once it loads, you get the classic SketchUp kind of view, which is a person standing at a meeting point of several axes, I guess, or axis. You can see that on this, basically, that SketchUp is a 3D drawing program, just like Tinkercad was. So you're actually working on a 3D plane. Okay, so you'll notice that the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to be able to start from a simple template. So I have the instructions for if you're using SketchUp 8. It's maybe a little bit different here if you're using the online version. And if you're starting from a template, the first thing I'd like you to do is you haven't actually logged in. You can actually go ahead and log in just by clicking this menu bar, and then it's just going to ask you to log in. And I don't even know if you have to create an account. You probably could right here, but I think you can just sign in with your school Google account. It should be fine. And you can choose your account, and I think it works quite well that way. So at this point you can go a new model, and the new model from template, I would ask you to use feet and inches, because we're going to be using architectural scales, and we use feet and inches when we're doing that throughout the course. So go ahead and click from template feet and inches. Okay, the first thing that that I'm going to ask you to do is just familiarize yourself with some of the SketchUp tools. I believe in SketchUp 8 and some of the previous versions and the paid versions, you have quite a bit of stuff on top, like where your normal menu bars are. But in the online version, basically everything that you're going to need can be found on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. So the first thing, I'll just orientate you a little bit as well. You have your toolbars. They can be expanded upon. So for instance, my square or rectangle tool can be expanded on, or it has other tools embedded, my arc tool, and so on. This side, so these are more, on the left hand side are more of your actual tools, and on this side is more of your settings and so on for your documents. Okay, the other thing to note is we'll use this box down here. It's located on all versions of SketchUp, and it is your measurements box. So that will help you in order to be able to put measurements in instead of trying to line things up on their own. Alright, so the first thing, this is your pointer tool, and basically, or your select tool. And basically, you want to return to that every time you need to make a change, because SketchUp will always leave you on the last tool that you were using. So if you click on pencil to draw a line, for example, you can't get rid of the pencil until you click back on your select tool. So I did say to familiarize yourself with the following tools. So the line tool is your pencil tool. So here's your pencil tool. You can do squiggly lines or freehand lines, or you can just do regular lines. So remember when I said that it was in feet and inches? If I just drag my pencil along, you'll notice down in the bottom, and see how it keeps the pencil tool on? Down in the bottom, I can just click however long I want that line. So for instance, let's say I want that line to be 12 feet, and then I hit enter, and it'll actually give me a 12-foot line. Actually, that might be a 12-inch line. So we go back and we put 12. Let's say we go this way now. Let's go 12 and then put the feet symbol in. There's a 12-foot line. Okay? So that's where this little box becomes important. See how the line just follows me around though? I can only get rid of that unless I click there. Okay, so that's my line tool. My circle tool, there will be a separate circle tool on your menu bar in your other versions of SketchUp. For this other one, it's embedded within your square tool. So here's your circle tool, and it's the same thing. As soon as I click, I can get a radius, and if I want to put a radius, and you know the radius is half the distance across the circle. So if I want a radius of 12, I can just stop right there. I'll put a radius of 12, and then you have to put the feet symbol because we're in feet and inches, and that has a radius of 12. Okay. The other one is the arc tool. Now I want to get rid of this stuff that, notice how the circle tool keeps following me around? Go back to my select tool, and then if I actually select and just kind of swipe over this stuff here, it'll actually allow me to erase my lines. I have to be able to select the whole thing. So I'm going to erase this line if I can. And you can actually select it and hit delete as well. Select this line, hit delete. Okay. The other one was the arc tool. And the arc tool, I believe, is found... Notice how it changed back to circle here. The arc tool is right above the circle and the square. So if I want to do an arc, I would click like a 2-point arc, and then I can click on one point and then click on my end point. And then if I click perpendicular, notice that I get something called a bulge. So then I can select so that I want like a 5-foot bulge, and then it'll draw me a 2-point arc. Okay? So that's the arc. Again, it follows me around, so I click to my select tool. I can highlight it and hit delete, or I can just click that and hit delete. Polygons, squares and rectangles. These are located next to the circle tool, or in the free version it's along with the circle tool. So I can click my rectangle, a rotated rectangle, and then I can actually start making my rectangles. Okay, now if I just click, again I can put in my dimensions. Remember that I have 2 dimensions now. So I can go, let's say I'm doing a shed down the road and I want to go 8 foot, comma, by 10 feet. Okay, that didn't work so well. Okay, let's try that again. We'll use the rectangle tool. If I just click, I should be able to go to my dimension box, and again I should be able to go 8 feet. See the little foot marker, then a comma, 10 feet, and it should give me, there we go, a rectangle that's 8 by 10. That's a common shed size, so we might come back to that when we're building sheds. Again, the rectangle thing tool keeps following me around, so I click on that. Okay, a couple of other things, like if you notice right here would be your push-pull tool. So I can actually pull on this face now if I want to make it a three-dimensional. Okay, so obviously keep in mind when we're building sheds that would be something quite useful. Notice my distance box. Let's say I know this is 8 by 10, but if I want to go 8 feet high, then I could go 8 feet high with my shed. Okay, and then I would have an 8 by 8 by 8 cube. Okay, and so on. So let's say I want to go 8 feet. I can just type in 8 feet, and there it goes. Okay. Now, again, SketchUp is multi-directional, and it's multi-dimensional, I should say. So I can actually look around my cube now. I can zoom by going with my mouse in and out, just on the circle if I have a mouse. Okay. Notice I'm all the way on the other side, and I can actually go inside my little box that I created as well to see on the inside of that. Okay. So using what you know now from SketchUp, if you haven't used it before, the first assignment's quite easy. I want you to be able to make 3 lines that measure 3 feet, 6 feet, and 9 feet using your line tool. 3 circles that have a radius of 1 foot, 3 feet, and 6 feet. 3 arcs with the same, with 3 foot, 6 foot, and 9 foot bulge. And then 3 squares of various dimensions. And it says save your SketchUp assignment by clicking Save As. A little bit different in this case when you're using the online version. Just go Save All Changes. And it'll actually ask you where to put it, or what to name it. So you can just name it. I'm going to name mine Box. And then I think you can go in SketchUp and then just save here. And then it just saved. And I think you can download these assignments and so on. So remember where you saved your activity. I think if you want to go to Box, there. So to be able to submit it now, you can, instead of hitting right here after you've renamed it, or instead of going to this 3 dash where the preferences are, you can go to the file and then you can download it. And I should probably be alright with any of these, but you can download a PNG file, which is just a graphics file, and then you're able to upload that to Moodle. Okay, so if I download it as a PNG file, I can then open that up anywhere, and then I can put that into Moodle if I need to. I think that's it for 1.1.